Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review. Today we're going to be looking at this one here. It's the Brinyte HL18 and I own close to probably 10 different headlamps, too many headlamps really for one person. And the Brinyte HL18 is probably one of the more unique ones out of the lot for a few reasons. And as you can tell, there are a couple of little features on here. You've got this rotatable head, okay, well, adjustable head. 90-degree adjustable head, but it also has an SFT 40 and smooth reflector, which I think is pretty rare in a lot of headlamps these days. So the difference between a lot of those other headlamps out there is that they tend to be geared towards more floodier beam profiles. So they tend to use LEDs like the SST 40, the Osram P9, which honestly is still quite throwy, but you know, Nichia 519A, for example. So having something like the SFT 40 in it, like this one, creates a very high candela long-range beam, which is perfect for spotting distant objects. But the good thing about it as well with the SFT 40 is that it also produces a ton of usable spill. So some people do think this is, you know, one of the most perfect LEDs out there. For me anyway, I think it's a great all-rounder, and especially if you're looking for something with a little bit higher intensity, high candela, the SFT 40 is a great option. With the addition of this 90-degree rotatable head, it's basically a 2-in-1 EDC flashlight / headlamp. You can also use it as a work light as well. It's quite versatile. And initially I thought the design was a little strange, but it's definitely grown on me considering just all the different ways that you can use it. Plus, it's also a fun little fidget toy as well. Okay, so this is the box that the HL18 comes in, and there's not even any specifications on the box at all, just has the light itself, picture of the light. But inside the box, you do get some accessories, and I'll just show you the battery as well. They do provide an 18650 cell, Brinyte branded cell, as you can see here. And yeah, 3100 milliamp hour cell. Wide drain. It does have a protection circuit in there, which is good for extra safety. Here we have a magnetic charging cable, which just connects on the side of the light like that. And I do find that it's, yeah, something you have to be a little bit careful with it, but it does pretty much find the location of the connector point quite easily. This is the headband attachment and the headband itself. And just show you how it attaches in, basically like that. Brinyte also include an instruction manual and some spare O-rings. All right, so I've got a bunch of other headlamps here. I just wanted to compare with the Brinyte HL18, and this is the Next Torch Max Star. And as you can see here, it's pretty chunky sort of light. It does take an 18650 cell. It is a little bit chunkier just due to the design of the bezel, and there's a little bit more, yeah, I guess there's a little bit more material out the front there as well for some reason, but it's quite easy to detach and also sort of move around. And it's the same deal here with the Brinyte. Okay, so it's quite easy for me just to insert it into the mount, move it around like that. Okay, so that's one of the things I really like about it. But of course, I think the Brinyte just has a bit more of a refined look, and actually, yeah, it just looks a bit more like a traditional flashlight, especially when you have the head just moved over to the normal position. I wanted to show you also this one here, the H16, and you can see that this one contains these two attachment points here. They're rubber attachment points where you have to pull out the light. It takes a little bit of, you know, fiddling around to get that light, you know, in there and removing it as well, which I find a little bit annoying, especially if you're intending to take the light in and out. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more easy to attach and more versatile, I think, yeah, definitely the HL18 just makes it more simple for you. All right, here's a little close-up of the Brinyte HL18, and as you can see, pretty high-quality machining. And this is the second Brinyte flashlight that I own, and definitely, you know, I have to say it does stand up well to its competition, to brands like Phoenix, Olight, Ace Beam. You know, some of these larger brands, especially, you know, you can have a look. There's also this nice little knurling here on the side. Basic cutouts also just around the head there. You know, there's one little cutout there. Not sure what this is for, but it's, yeah, I guess, to help with heat dissipation too. And yeah, the head, like I said, it articulates 90 degrees, okay, through this joint here. It reminds me of like a knee joint. And yeah, I have to say the movement is pretty smooth, but there's enough resistance for it to stay in place. So it does click into place at a few different points, okay? But even when it's opened up fully, you see it doesn't wobble around. Same when it's at the 90-degree position, which is good. The joint is also very well lubricated. Almost a little too much lubrication in there, if you ask me. Anodizing wise, I'd say it's more towards this matte black finish, but it does feel a little slippery. I do find that the knurling here really helps to make the tube grippier though, and it has this unique kind of tessellating square design that I've not seen before on other flashlights. You've got two attachment points here for the clip, so one near the head, one near the base. The clip is also double-sided, so it really doesn't make a huge difference where you attach it. I guess if you want to put it head down, that's a better position, and you'd be able to get that, yeah, pretty deep, sort of deep carry as well. Clip will go all the way up the back there. Now, the light is operated by a single side switch. It's made of rubber and has this really nice blue accent. Another feature that I noticed on the E18 theme as well. The button is pretty large, as you can see, requires a firm press to activate, thankfully. I really don't like those mushy or, you know, those cheap small switches that either wear out after, you know, after a year or so and just take very little effort to activate. On the opposite side here, this is the magnetic charging port. It's an interesting design, and it's a much smaller attachment point than all the other magnetic charging options I've seen out there. Tail cap design is pretty simple. There's a spring underneath the tail cap and also underneath the head, so that's going to help with shock absorption and recoil. I also like that there is a strong magnet here in the tail. No issues at all remaining upright when using that magnet in any sort of position. I think that's great for if you're using it for work, you know, underneath the car, hands-free use. All right, so here is the little look under the bezel, and I really like this design here. Look at that. It kind of reminds me of a file, like a side of a file, except there's no sharp edges on it, but I just like how it catches the light. You've got the SFT40 in there, as you can see down in the base. Comes with a smooth reflector as well with glass lens on the front. So this is the light just attached to the mount and the headband. Okay, you have to sort of switch it over to the front there like that for it to face forward. The good thing about this headband mount is that it has close to 180 degrees articulation. Okay, so simple if you're looking up, looking down at something, using the moonlight mode on this, it's just so simple to move it around. You know, like I said, I'm not a big fan of those rubber ring designs. This just feels more sturdy and easy to use. This clip-on design also makes it pretty easy to detach and attach the light. It does take a little bit of force to push it through, but you know, I think that's necessary. You don't want it to come off accidentally. The headband itself is just composed of a single piece of material, single band. There's no additional band running across the top, but I do find it still holds firmly with the light attached. The Brinyte branding here is also made with some reflective material. All right, so I'm going to go through the UI, just show you how the light is used. So it's a pretty simple UI. Basically, you just press once to activate memory mode, so whatever mode the light was in before, and you can press and hold to ramp up through the different modes. Okay, there's 4 modes in there: low, medium, high, and then turbo. Okay, now the light does not memorize turbo, strobe, and SOS, which I'll go through a little bit later. You can turn the light off and press and hold to have a shortcut to moonlight mode, which is very useful. Now, from any point, whether the light is on or off, you can triple press for strobe. Okay, triple press again for the SOS mode. Okay, and there's also 5 clicks to lock and unlock. You just get a couple of flashes, and yeah, see when you try to turn it on while the light is locked, this little side light here just turns on to let you know that it's locked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests with the Brinyte HL18, and this is the turbo test. And you can see here the light lasts about 30 seconds on turbo before stepping down. I think that's pretty good for a light with this kind of actuating head. You know, heat sinking is going to be limited because there is some material missing underneath. Okay, that's always going to be a sacrifice that you make with these lights. But of course, you do get that extra kind of versatility use in different circumstances. After about the 1 minute mark, the light steps down to about 30%. Here's a second ceiling bounce test that I ran on the high mode, and you can see the light starts out on 100%, manages to hold that 100% mode to 5 minutes, at which point it steps down to just under 60% output, holds very nicely, sustained regulated output, and I finished the test at 30 minutes. This is a third ceiling bounce test that I ran just on the medium mode, and you can see there's no fluctuation at all, 100% throughout the whole 30 minutes of this test. I also ran some tests on my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and I was surprised to see on the turbo mode, now keep in mind these are just switch on figures, I actually got 370 meters of throw. Now that is pretty impressive for a headlamp. I don't know of any other headlamps that can produce this amount of throw. I'm sure you guys might, but you know, in my collection anyway, this is pretty unique, just being able to produce nearly 400 meters of throw. I think that's quite impressive, even if it's just for 30 seconds. And even on the high mode, you can see 228 meters of throw. That's still quite impressive. CRI range from 67 to 69, so pretty standard for these type of SFT 40 LEDs. They're more designed for visibility. CCT ranged from 5,700 all the way to 6,500. So you can see this light is definitely more on the cool end, especially if you step it up. The HL18 produces a throwy beam with lots of nice spill too due to this SFT 40. You know, it's really the best of both worlds. And I would say overall though, the beam is definitely throw biased. So some considerations that I want to go through as well. Now, because the head does have this rotatable feature, that's going to limit the heat dissipation into the body. So that's something, yeah, you're really going to need to be aware of. But Brinyte have, of course, reduced the lumen output slightly, which I think is a good strategy. So instead of maybe making this light produce 2,000 plus lumens, it produces 1,600 lumens. So that reduces the heat that the light produces, and therefore you're still able to get 30 seconds of runtime on turbo, which is pretty impressive. And considering that you can reactivate that turbo as well without any harm to the light, I'm very impressed. The second consideration is, of course, the proprietary charging. You have to use that cable here that comes with the light. But the good news is that you can still charge the battery separately in an external charger. You can also use other types of 18650 cells in this light as well. So I don't think that is a deal breaker for me. The third consideration is just this exposed joint here. Okay, it's probably going to get some dust and stuff in there. I don't think it's going to cause any issues, but yeah, it's just the norm if you want a flashlight design like this, that yeah, there's going to be more open parts. The fourth consideration, and I did mention this before, is that this light does produce a high candela focused beam. Now for me, that's absolutely perfect. You know, I love this thing. I'm a huge fan of throwy lights, and I think this almost could be used as a long range spotting light as well. And I know some of you do like floodier beams, and maybe some of you are not sure whether, you know, you like a throwy or floody beam. The good news is that this one still produces a ton of flood just due to the sheer output of the SFT 40. So, but I'd say, yeah, the beam is more focused towards or geared towards the throwy side of things. Overall, the HL18 has got to be one of my favorite little headlamps out there. The fact that you can also use it as an EDC flashlight. It's got an 18650 battery in there, which is really the smallest battery capacity flashlight that I like to carry around with me, because if you want extended output, sustained run times, I think that's a really good option, but still be able to fit this thing in your pocket. This articulating head design is really cool as well. Turns it into more than just a normal flashlight. You can use it as a headlamp. You can use it as a work light. You can stick it onto stuff as well. Change the clip location and put it into your pocket. You know, you've still got that double press shortcut to turbo if you need to access it very quickly. If you're interested in getting the HL18, I'll have a special discount voucher. Just go ahead and check the video description. And if you have questions, that kind of thing, just leave them below in the comments. I'm sure I've missed out here, a few things here and there. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor and click the like button. It just helps me to get my videos out there. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest news, then make sure you subscribe. All right, I've got the Brinyte HL18, and let's put it on all the different modes. This is the lowest mode. It's 5 steps. Moonlight, press and hold, low, medium. Decent throw even on that medium mode. Okay, and there you've got high, reaching this tree to the right very easily and this tree to the left here. Okay, and it's even tinting the trees all the way at the back, believe it or not. Okay, and one more step. That there is the turbo mode. Pretty impressive. For a light with the swivelly head, technically a headlamp as well. Hold it this way, just swivel it towards the front so it's a right angle now. Look at that. It does step down after about 30 seconds, but can reactivate that turbo again. Absolutely amazing throw. I think this is probably the throwiest headlamp that I have in my collection. It's amazing. I'm going to go for a walk, and this will allow you to see the beam pattern. And just for comparison, my Workhorse FC12 to the left and the HL18 to the right. So, you know, yeah, definitely that Workhorse does throw a little bit further, that FC12. Okay, compared to the HL18, slightly, I mean, you can almost barely tell the difference, but it seems that the FC12 just throws a little bit, a tiny bit more. Okay. FC12, HL18, and you know, I'm pretty sure that the step down as well is more pronounced on the HL18. Okay. Just because there's a little less heat sinking due to this rotating head. But it pretty, I mean, look at that. Quite amazing it's able to keep up with the FC12. All right, the Brinyte HL18 on turbo. Very easily just able to reach the back of those trees. Difficult to see right in the center of that path. There's a long path that goes along a golf course. But I can see a flag there, on the golf course to the right. You see it just waving in the wind. Okay. Very impressive throw for I mean, I didn't expect this at all, but given the SFT40, the large reflector, and I do appreciate that it doesn't step down immediately either. I mean, look at that. Go through the other modes as well. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So that's the high mode, which is still very respectable. But I mean, look at that turbo. Super impressive. Get the workhorse FC12 just to show you a comparison. The FC12 to the left, and on the right I've got the HL18, HL18, FC12, HL18. I mean, given the fact that it obviously has stepped down a little bit as well, just due to the heat, I mean, it's still managing to keep up fairly well. But it just gives you a little indication of the capabilities, the throw capabilities of this light. And it is a little foggy tonight as well. There's a bit of moisture in the air, so it's performing quite well.